Cold weather calls for comfort food, and this side dish is a delicious way to mix up your usual go-to mashed potatoes. Julia Simonsen with Temple Square Hospitality is sharing the alternative for us today. That is polenta. It's so great to meet you. Great to have you. I know you've been here when I've been away, so nice to connect with you in our kitchen today. Now, polenta, first define it for us, for those who may not know. What is it exactly?
It's basically cornmeal.
Okay.
So polenta traditionally is a little bit finer grain. But I just use cornmeal. I like the texture of it, and it cooks in less than half the time. So don't go buy expensive polenta, just use cornmeal.
Cornmeal.
That's what I do.
How is polenta different from grits?
Grits are bigger, it's larger, and there's different varieties. There's white corn, yellow corn, it just depends. But it's a thicker, more rustic texture. It's bigger. So this is kind of the medium when I use the cornmeal. It's kind of between. Yeah, it's a little smoother. It's kind of between grits and polenta, but I call it polenta. I still use it.
This is your version on the dish.
Yeah.
Well, I love the smoother promise because I think if you have kids who are texture sensitive at all, this might help kind of come family mealtime.
Right.
I love polenta. I love grits as well, but I would reserve those for a restaurant order, like when I'm at a fancy restaurant, popping open the menu and counting on a chef in the back to make it for me. How easy is it to do at home?
It's so easy, and most people, I think, do that. They don't order it, or they order it, they don't make it at home. And it honestly is so much faster than mashed potatoes. So I chose that today because it's winter and everyone's into their comfort foods.
Oh, totally.
And you get kind of tired of how many ways can I do potatoes and rice. So this is another alternative, and I hope people will try it this way. Oh, I can make this. It's so easy. Basically, it's like making hot cereal. It's really that easy.
So if you can make oatmeal, you can make Julia's polenta.
Yeah, or cream of wheat, you can do polenta.
We're going to hold you to that. Show us how we'd pull this together then.
Okay, so we want to get some stock. A lot of people just use water, but the more flavor I can get into it, the better.
So chicken stock,
chicken stock. And it depends on what you're serving it with. So if you're serving it with steak and you want to do a beef broth, you can do beef broth. You can serve it with mushrooms. You can put meatballs and marinara on it. Like, it's really versatile. Basically,
it makes sense to pack in that extra flavor from the beginning, right?
Right. So I have some chicken stock here, and it's seriously this easy. The key is
smiling out of the corner of her eye. No, really, Brooke, you can do this.
No. The key is to just pouring it in really slow while you stir, so it doesn't get lumps. And worst case scenario, if it gets lumps, you just get out your little immersion blender and you can get them out of there
and whip them away.
Yeah, which is actually what we do in the restaurants if we're making it in bulk, because we just blend it all up.
How would you control a big
it's harder to control this huge batch of it.
So do your best with the whisk, and then.
So you're just literally slow. It's literally like doing cream of wheat. That's it.
I'm waiting for the magic card she's going to pull out of her sleeve and say, oh, but you do have to do this. No? Could we flavor this? I mean, you mentioned packing the flavor with the stock.
Yeah, so we're going to add more things. I've got herbs. Typically, there's a little butter added at the end. And cheese, I also like to add cream. So you can do anything you want. Like traditional, like grits, they'll have more of like maybe a cheddar cheese. I just brought some Asiago and some Parm today.
Okay.
So basically, this is all it is. It takes a little patience, but once we get this all in here, it takes about 5 minutes to cook. The other reason why I like to use cornmeal, because if you buy a traditional polenta, it takes about 30 minutes of stirring it. Oh. And this comes together really quick.
So what's the taste difference we're compromising? Are we with the cornmeal versus the polenta?
I honestly don't notice it that much. It has a teeny bit smoother texture, but not much.
Okay.
You know?
Well, the way you're whisking that, I feel good about the texture that's going into
And I have the recipe, but you'll have the recipe, but it's basically like 3 parts liquid to 1 part cornmeal.
Okay.
So it's really easy, and you really can't mess it up. If you got it a little too, I'm gonna put a little bit more in here. If you get a little too thick, you can add a little more stock to it.
Just play with it a little bit.
Just play with it a little bit.
I'm not gonna go into the descriptive words here, but I'm just saying I think I'm at a point in my adult life where I could try cornmeal again. We used them in 3rd grade for a science project. I won't say what we used them for. It may have involved some mealworms. I can't be sure, and I wasn't able to eat it beyond that. But I think enough time has passed that
you could try it again. It's one of my favorites. Like, I just love it. Like, it's funny. I still remember the first time I tasted things, whether it was 20 years ago or 25 years ago.
You do. It kind of emblazes.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, and where it was, what restaurant, whatever. So
at what point would we add the herbs and the butter?
This would cook for like 5 more minutes, and that's about it. It'll be good. And then what I do is I just pull it off the heat.
Okay.
So it doesn't cook anymore. Of course, it would be done. And then I would just add a little bit of butter in there. And we're gonna add our cheese. And you can put as much or as little as you want.
Is this something we could add? We don't want to sneak veggies. We don't want to sneak anything in. It's kind of, again, your
No,
plain
but I
basic.
put that kind of thing on top of it.
Oh, okay.
Like some sauteed mushrooms or some sauteed vegetables, whatever you want, or just serve it with, you know, your protein. So I just have a little rosemary and some thyme in here, but you can use tarragon. You can put whatever you want in it.
I mean, it fits in the porridge, the oatmeal, the warm, cozy comfort food category.
Right.
So.
And traditionally, it does not have cream in it, but I like to add cream in
That's why we like you.
So if you want to leave that out, I mean, it already has butter.
That's why we like you.
Which is why we're
talking
creamy
comfort food. Pour in the comfort. That's what we say. Well, we'll post this basic recipe for you on our website, courtesy of Julia and our friends at Temple Square Hospitality, and feel free to adapt it to your liking. She gave you some great alternatives and fun stuff coming up at Temple Square this time of year too.
We do. We're going to hit wedding season in April, but right now is a good time because we're not super busy. So
book those parties.
Book something now, yeah.
Plenty of beautiful banquet rooms there to keep your crowd happy. Look on the recipe button again for that particular recipe for polenta, and also we'll post some details about Temple Square Hospitality and their bookings and party gathering opportunities there.